2012. 2012 acreage numbers are available, production numbers are available. And the purpose of this origin presentation is to give the acreage numbers and the production numbers. These are available. The trade will take its own outlook about how demand is going to pan out. The point I wanted to make was that one, pulses are receiving greater attention from the government of India, number one. Number two, the very fact that acreage is broken out of the 23 million, 24 million trap to 26, 27 million shows that acreage improvement has come about and it has coincided with increase in minimum support price. Third question is farmers' expectation of price. If the farmers continue to expect good prices for pulses, they will continue to hold on to the acreage. If the farmers expect some other crop to give better yields, they will move out of pulses. And therefore, there's a need to continue to keep pulses incentivized as far as farmers are concerned. But every increase in the farm gate price will also affect consumers. And therefore, we need to support consumers. That's why I have said that we need to support consumers by the government of India procuring large quantities and supplying at affordable prices to vulnerable sections of the population. Therefore, there is an inherent contradiction in rising minimum support price and affordable prices for consumers. But this is for the policy makers to resolve. There will be an element of subsidy. And if there is a subsidy in PDS supply, so be it. We have to absorb that subsidy. That's the situation. Thank you.
Mr. Chandrasekhar, our experience says in any green revolution, the hybridization plays an important role.
Correct.
This industry, this pulses seed industry, the potential is more than 2,500 crores, to my estimate. Surprisingly, there is no hybrid in pulses. Can you throw some light on this?
I believe the Indian Council of Agriculture Research is doing a lot of work. Yes, I must admit, there has not been any major breakthrough in pulses seed technology so far. But research is going on. With this, it's for actually the scientists to answer why there has been no breakthrough in seed technology. We should probably discuss this with the officials of the Government of India who could possibly internally take it up with the Indian Council of Agriculture Research. But let me bring one point here, let me highlight. A lot of research is going on, in fact, at the field trial stage to generate, to evolve genetically modified chickpea and PGNP in India. My sense is that BT chickpea and BT PGNP will be ready for commercialization by 2014, 2 years from now. Whether the Government of India will allow commercialization is a very different question. We are not getting into that. But field trials are going on. Possibly the first genetically modified pulse may be introduced in India. We don't know. We need to wait for it. But it will be ready for commercialization 2 years from now. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have to take all the other questions offline due to a paucity of time.
I think there is one more question.
Okay, one final question. Thank you.
No, I'm sorry, this is not a question. This is just a clarification. Since you had made a statement that, the government should take more efforts, that of course we accept. But I think on the part of nutritional security, we are aware of this problem about protein availability and how the sections of the strata of society will need to increase their consumption and even the unmet demand. I would just like to inform the House in general and also on the dais, the dignitaries, that we had 2 schemes in operation. One scheme is where the PSUs were asked to import pulses when the prices were ruling high 2 years back, and we also subsidized them to 15% of the losses which they had incurred on the landed cost and with 1.2% of the cost also. That scheme, of course, has come to an end on 31st March 2011. But as far as PDS is concerned, we do still have a scheme in operation which provides a 10 rupees subsidy per kg. And the imports are being undertaken by the PSUs. And this is provided to the state governments on demand so that they could distribute it under the PDS scheme. But unfortunately, the states which are coming forward for seeking this kind of pulse support is very few and far between. Though this year we have given a sanction of 5 lakh tons, I think so far the PSUs have imported or contracted imports for only about 1.85 lakh tons because the states have not come forward requesting for additional pulses to supplement their domestic availability. I just wanted to put this on record.
We've had, continuing from the Yellow Peas session, we've had a fairly volatile and fairly eventful year as far as the Desi chickpeas were concerned. There were issues of weather in some countries. There was a production drop in India. So the prices of Desi chickpeas have been quite volatile, and we have seen a fairly strong bull run in the past few months in India. So we would like to take the opinion of our panelists on the supply and demand of the countries of origin that they come from. I've got two eminent traders from India, so their perspective of India and what is going to evolve in India, continue to discuss currency factors, the volatility created due to currencies, and eventually try to come down to some kind of a price range that we see this commodity to move in the next, at least for the next 6 months. So let me introduce the panelists to you. I'm sure most of you know them. To my left is Pradeep Jindal. Pradeep Jindal has been in this trade for a very long time, I think almost 25 years, if not more. He's been an active trader. He has also been a miller for Desi chickpeas in Delhi. His father, Fakir Chandji, was probably among the first to import Desi chickpeas into India way back in the early 80s. So this family has been in the chickpeas business for a very long time. Welcome, Pradeep, to the panel, and thank you for joining us. We have Jayesh Patel. Jayesh Patel is part of the ETG group. Jayesh also has a huge amount of experience in the Australian origin Desi chickpeas. Jayesh has been one of the leaders in this trailblazing processing capacity that he has put across Africa, and now he has targeted India where they are going into the processing business. He has tremendous knowledge on the origination of Desis in Africa, the demand and supply there, and of course the processing part of the business. Brett, you've already had a chance to interact with him this morning in the Yellow Peas session. Brett is from Australia. Brett has been in the business also for a long time. He has been actively trading the Desi chickpeas for years to come now. I have known him, and I'm sure most of you know him for quite some time. So he will give us some insightful insights into the production in Australia, the weather problems, the quality issues in Australia, and what he thinks will be the trading range of chickpeas in the coming few months. Welcome, Brett, and thank you for agreeing to be part of this panel. And last but not the least, I have Mr. Sunil Baldev from Delhi. Sunil has come down from Delhi. Sunil has been an active participant of the Desi chickpeas trade. Sunil has several offices in various parts of India where he involves in the procurement and distribution of pulses. He has a dal mill in the family business also, but particularly in the Desi chickpeas business, he has wide experience. Sunil has insisted that he will speak only in the national language, Hindi. So for those who do not follow Hindi, I will be happy to translate for him. So let me start the evening with the discussion with Pradeep. And Pradeep, this year we have seen a very strong rally in the Desi chickpeas prices. And what would be your views on this? What do you think the stock situation in India is? What do you think on the import front? So can I have a few pointers from you for the audience? Thank you.
Three test.
Thank you, Parveen bhai. This year, there was a shortage of chickpeas throughout India, and the prices was very bullish. But in coming crop 2012, I believe already Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Maharashtra, they have came to a high level of around 34,000 rupees a ton. And after it, the people are watching Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Rajasthan, there is no rains, and if it is continue in next 4 or 5 days, I believe the crop will be reduced by 40% to 60%. So far, the people are talking it would not be more than 70%. Now only one state left is MP, Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh, if really there is a shortage in crop, so far the people are saying the crop is just 20% more comparatively to last years. But now picture is not clear, cloud is not clear. If there is a shortfall in MP, I think the chickpea price will go domestically, and this year it might be not shocking if it cross more than 4,000 rupees a quintal, 4,000 rupees quintal this year, because there is no supply internationally, except the new crop comes only in August, September from Tanzania and Africa. After it, only the supplier is Australia left. So far, the prevailing prices internationally is very high, and I presume there might be a dip in anticipation of coming crop in March end, and after that, when the clouds are clear, I believe there is the chickpeas future will be very bullish. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradeep. So Pradeep has summarized it quite well that the crop in Rajasthan has been under stress. It has been... Welcome, Rob. The crop in Rajasthan has been affected by weather. Yields have been affected, and according to Pradeep Jindal, we might see a drop of 20 to 30% in Rajasthan. In MP, he is of the view that the crop is 10 to 20% higher than last year, but again, we continue to stay dependent on the vagaries of weather, and we will have to wait and watch for the arrivals from Madhya Pradesh to begin. Taking it further, Jayesh Bhai, welcome, and can we have your views on what is happening in the African subcontinent, and what do you think will happen from here on?
Thank you, Praveen Bhai. As we all know, Africa doesn't play a predominantly role in chickpeas market. The total export out of Africa, mainly the two country produces, that is Ethiopia and Tanzania. On an average, they export about 100,000 tons. The main markets are Dubai, that is Middle East, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India. So basically, the African chickpeas actually is not going to have a significant effect on Indian market or any impact as such. And by the way, the crops comes out in June, July, so we still got a long way to go there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jayesh, for that insightful insights about Africa. The total exports combined between Ethiopia and Tanzania, 100,000 tons, which is really a small number as compared to the 5, 6, 7 million ton crops that India produces. But for sure, at times, it does become a sensitive issue if there are large arrivals from Africa, and the absence of Africa does in some way affect pricing as far as the Indian prices are concerned. I will take you to the gentleman who has just arrived, and we've been eagerly waiting for him, Rob Braley. Rob has been in the business for a very long time. He has expertise right through the supply chain, origination from the farmers, trading the chickpeas in the processing, as well as shipping to destination. So Rob, can we have an Australian perspective from you on the desis?
Yes, well, hopefully most people saw the presentation this morning, and if you did, you would have seen that the supply situation is very tight. As it stands today, our best view is that there's about 150,000 tonnes of peas left in Australia today. Of that, We see Bangladesh having demand for about another 100,000 prior to Ramadan, which this year is in July, of course. We see the UAE having demand for something in the order of another 50,000 tonnes. And then, of course, Pakistan, which every time I talk to someone new from Pakistan, the situation there seems more grave in terms of their own crop. You know, some people are saying that the crop could be as little as 30% of normal production. And that the appetite we see from Pakistan at the moment is quite incredible. You know, my phone won't stop ringing here at the moment with Pakistan buyers wanting to buy chickpeas today. So, I mean, our best estimate there is that they will need another 70,000 tonnes. Well, you don't have to be a mathematician to work out that just between those three countries alone, the balance of the crop that we have of 150,000 tonne will be consumed. If India does need to import, once their own harvest is complete, then I fear that we will have nothing left to export in Australia until the new crop is available in about November.
Right. So if I heard you correctly, you said there is 170,000 tonnes.
About 150.
150,000
yeah.
tonnes.
As of today, we would see about 150,000 tonnes of stock remaining in Australia.
Correct. I recall in your presentation this morning, you said that there was a significant increase in the domestic consumption of desis in Australia. Is that correct?
I don't think I used the word significant, but there's a gradual, I think, increase in the domestic consumption.
Correct.
I mean, Australia is not a big country in terms of population in comparison to India, obviously, but certainly there's been an increase in, I think, pulse consumption. People are looking to eat more healthy. We are seeing, I think, an increase in domestic splitting, but in relative terms, it's very small in the overall scheme.
Correct. So just summarizing what Rob has to say about Australia is that the shipping program has been aggressive, and what is left currently is about 150,000 tonnes, which have to be distributed from the disappearance will be distributed among the consuming countries of Bangladesh, Pakistan, UAE, which has now become a very important buyer of desi chickpeas for their processing industry, as Mr. Jayesh Bhai Patel has told us. And hence we see a tight situation as far as the supply front is concerned in Australia. So this is the Australian situation, and the fact that there is some increase in the domestic consumption in Australia also. Any idea could you give us that we were aware that the crop got damaged last year? So is there some damaged material also out of this, or this is sound material which is lying in Australia?
Look, most of the damaged product is being shipped now. Pakistan, in particular, has been an aggressive buyer, obviously, of that product at a discount to the normal #1 grades. Notwithstanding that, there would be some left, but what is left now would be relatively small. Most of the remaining stock now are of the #1 quality.
Correct. Thank you, Rob. सुनील जी, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे अपने इंडियन सिचुएशन पे? यहाँ डिमांड कैसी रही है और प्राइस अभी हमने देखा है पिछले 4-5 महीने में बढ़े हैं, तो लोग चिंतित है, सरकार चिंतित है, तो आपको क्या कहना है इसके ऊपर?
मैंने कल से मैं मिस्टर चंद्रशेखर को सुना और मिस्टर वेंकटाचार्य को सुना, तो उन्होंने कहा कि 15 किलो पर दाल जो है पर पर्सन एक आदमी के पर ईयर हिस्से आती है। तो मैंने उनको रुपीज़ में कन्वर्ट किया तो 900 रुपये पर ईयर का एक आदमी को केवल स्पेंड करता है दाल पे, और पर कैपिटा की जो इनकम है वो इंडिया में बढ़ती जा रही है। इसलिए मेन सोर्सेज जो प्रोटीन है वो दाल है, इसलिए दाल की खपत जाहिर है बढ़ती रहेगी, और इसलिए दाल के जो भाव है वो हर साल जो है दाल के जो रेट्स हैं वो बढ़ते जा रहे हैं।
करेक्ट।
लास्ट ईयर की यदि हम बात करें तो स्टॉक लिमिट्स इम्पोज की गई थी गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा, तो उस समय जब चना का जब सीडिंग का टाइम था, उस समय भाव बहुत रेट्स जो चने के थे काफ़ी कम थे, इसलिए सीडिंग काफ़ी कम एरिया में हुई। एमपी के कुछ एरिया में तो गेहूं में इतने ज़्यादा फार्मर्स को भाव मिलते हैं कि वो गेहूं की तरफ चला गया। मैं राजस्थान के एक छोटे से गांव से हूँ, डूंगरगढ़ से। वहाँ पे कभी मूंगफली या ऑयल सीड कभी पैदा नहीं होती थी, क्योंकि वहाँ पे इरिगेशन का कोई साधन नहीं था। लेकिन अब ऐसा हुआ कि जो 80% 90% में जहाँ चना और मूंग बोया जाता था, वहाँ पे अब 80 और 90% में दूसरी पल्सेज दूसरी ऑयल सीड और दूसरी खेती की जा रही है, क्योंकि उसके भाव किसानों को ज़्यादा मिल रहे हैं। तो इसके कारण है कि जो चने की जो खेती है वो काफ़ी कम एरिया में हो गई है। इस साल भी यदि देखें तो राजस्थान और कर्नाटका, आंध्रा और महाराष्ट्र में काफ़ी एरिया घटा है प्रोडक्शन का, और बारिश अनसफिशेंट बारिश और सही टाइम पे बारिश नहीं होने की वजह से यील्ड की भी काफ़ी कमी दिखाई दे रही है। तो मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि आने वाले दिनों में मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि राजस्थान और महाराष्ट्र, कर्नाटका से काफ़ी कम प्रोडक्शन रहेगी। एमपी कुछ अच्छा है, लास्ट ईयर से अच्छा है, लेकिन लास्ट ईयर चूँकि 75% 80% क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन थी, इसलिए यदि एवरेज क्रॉप को लें तो एमपी अभी भी कम रहेगी। और इंडिया में करीबन 50 से 55 लाख टन 5.5 मिलियन टन चना होता है, जबकि इंपोर्ट काफ़ी कम है। उसको देखते हुए परसेंटेज को यदि देखें तो परसेंटेज वाइज चना काफ़ी कम इंपोर्ट होता है, क्योंकि चना केवल ऑस्ट्रेलिया से और तंजानिया 2 ही कंट्री से देसी चिकपीस इंपोर्ट किया जा सकता है। ऑस्ट्रेलिया से भी बांग्लादेश और पाकिस्तान बाहर रहते हैं, जैसे मिस्टर रोब ने कहा अभी कि डैमेज चना और अब अच्छा चना भी पाकिस्तान काफ़ी अच्छे रेट में बाहर है, तो वो इंडिया नहीं आ पाएगा। और इसलिए मुझे ये लगता है कि आगे आने वाले दिनों में चना जो है अच्छे, यदि लॉन्ग टाइम की बात करें तो चना अच्छे प्राइस पे जा सकता है। लेकिन अभी जो प्राइस चल रहे हैं उसको देखते हुए हमें ऐसा लगता है कि ये स्टॉक नहीं था, स्टॉक लिमिट्स की वजह से स्टॉक किसी के पास नहीं है। तो नया चना जब एमपी और राजस्थान का 15 अप्रैल होली के बाद में 15 अप्रैल के आसपास जब आने लगेगा मंडियों में, तो इसके प्राइस कम होंगे। उसके बाद प्राइस डिपेंड करेंगे मटर और अदर पल्सेज पे भी, वो कैसे रहते हैं, उनके प्राइस कैसे रहते हैं, उसी हिसाब से चना आगे डिपेंड करके प्राइस जो है कहाँ तक जाते हैं, ये उस पर डिपेंड करेगा। थैंक यू।
So, what Sunil Baldev has made some very interesting observations. Firstly, it is a very important point that he made, that as per the government statistics, the per capita consumption per year of India is 15 kilos of pulses. And when you translate that into rupees, it is basically 900 rupees per person per year is the consumption as of today, and which translates to about 17 or 15 or $17 per year. So in terms of a cost to the consumer, or the share of the pulses in the cost basket of a consumer in India is fairly small. And as we all know that the economic growth in India is permeating to the tier 3, tier 4 cities, to rural India, and consumption is increased. So we will see on a long term that consumption of pulses is certainly going to increase. And we need to match this increase of consumption by higher production or higher imports. This we are talking on a long term basis. Sunilji has also analyzed what happened last year. According to him, because of stock limits being in place at the very time of harvest last year, that is prior to the harvest of 2011 March, in most of the producing states, important producing states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and important consuming and milling state of Delhi, very rigid stock limits were in place. Hence, traders were forced to to sell the material which arrived in the markets. This caused immense distortion of price. This forced these farmers to sell their produce at lower prices than what the natural range of desi chana prices would have been. And that resulted in the pipeline drying up, and as time passed, we saw that the markets rallied. I repeat what I said earlier, that bull markets are formed from supply problems in most cases. The other interesting observation that Sunil has made is that due to the high minimum support price provided by the government of India for wheat and rice, and because of the very efficient implementation of this minimum support price in terms of procuring from these states, the farmer is getting a better return. The farmer is moving towards these products, and we see very clearly that acreage in desi chana is losing out to probably wheat in a lot of states, especially in Madhya Pradesh, where the state government has given a 100 rupee bonus over and above the MSP. While in pulses we have MSP in place, but it is more a psychological support number rather than something that is actively implemented. I think the government lacks the will, or probably doesn't have the necessary infrastructure in place, but there is very little or almost no procurement done for pulses at the minimum support price. Going further from there, Sunil adds that the crops in Maharashtra, in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and in Rajasthan have been affected by lack of moisture initially at the time of sowing, and subsequently by very cold weather. In Madhya Pradesh, he says that the crop is 20% higher than last year, but the overall scenario or overall availability of the crop or overall size of the crop this year is certainly lower, and government estimates tell us that also. He says that at this point of time, it is a very dry pipeline which has squeezed the markets at the moment. Our availability is very low. The carry out this will be very low, but we will have some respite from this post 15th of March, where we see the initial arrivals of Madhya Pradesh, and we will see hopefully a correction happening at that time. But on a longer term basis, desi chana continues to be in demand, and prices should remain fairly firm as compared to last year. Brett, we need some wisdom from you on the Australian situation.
I'd probably,
and also if you could share a bit of what's happening in Pakistan and Bangladesh.
Yep. No, look, I totally agree with Rob. The supply and demand is very tight. I probably tend to look at it a little differently. You know, Pulse Australia come out with their new figures, which are slightly higher than what Rob was showing, but either way you look at it, it's still ridiculously tight. They come out with around 402,000 tonnes. If you just break it down in raw numbers, you know, India's already probably taken 110. Bangladesh is very consistent in taking 120 a year, have taken up to 160 to 170,000 tonnes in a year. Pakistan last year took 158,000 tonnes. So if you pencil them in for, you know, just over 100 now, and Dubai at 50, and some seed out of there, we go into deficit. So totally agree with Rob's sentiments here. This market has a problem. One comment I would make is that Bangladesh, as Rob pointed out in his speech earlier, that Bangladesh has been quite quiet due to financial constraints in a shortage of US dollars. I suspect that that's going to bring them in probably a fairly large way again once the pre-Ramadan. So even if Bangladesh number does drop down, what I'm hearing in Pakistan is certainly shedding more light that they potentially will take more than 150,000 tonnes. So whichever way you look at it, things are certainly very tight. And already we're seeing some positions being taken further out in the Australian market, let alone into the CFR market. India is now buying April, May. Pakistan is also buying April, May positions. Bangladesh is asking questions and not really wanting to pay the price, but is certainly following along very closely. So, yeah, I totally agree. This thing has an issue.
What are the financial constraints or the currency constraints that are happening in Bangladesh?
Yeah, virtually they have a shortage of US dollars, so there's a mismatch between imports and exports. So it's causing financial constraints on the banks, making it difficult for people to open LCs, especially for those who want LCs that can be confirmed. It's very difficult. So there's been a slowdown of trade due to that fact. So they're telling us that they're obviously getting that sorted now. So yeah, suspect that they'll come in a really large way again pre-Ramadan.
Right. So Brett, if you had to put a number on the old crop in terms of dollars CNF India, what would that be for the old crop? And if you had to do a crystal gaze into the new crop, where do you think that number would be?
Good question. Look, today numbers are around that sort of 655 and probably even higher today if people are offering. I know my colleague's been looking at the DCT market in Australia today and the numbers are very firm. So let's call it 655 CNF, 660 CNF India, Pakistan slightly higher, Bangladesh even higher again due to freight differentials and
so $660 CNF.
Correct.
Okay.
So
if you had to make an educated guess or what price you wish the new crop will be, either way, let us know your new crop number.
Long way out. Look, if you're looking at it from a supply and demand situation, if we have a crop shortage globally and we're leading into Australian new crop, you would suspect that September, October, November position will be very heavily bid because there is going to be some shortages. So unless there's a currency correction, which is potential, but I would say we're poised at the 650 to 700 CNF type numbers.
650 to 700 for new crop, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. And is this on?
That's for prompt shipment. But once
is this your wish price or?
No, look, you always wish for more, Praveen. Come on. No, look, it's difficult to see downside in this market, especially for those front months. Right. But after that period, well, then who knows? Right. So I'd be cautious.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Brett. Brett tells us that there is a currency issue in Bangladesh and LCs are a little difficult to open, but Bangladesh continues to import at a slow pace, but Pakistan has shown signs of shortages and paying up for chickpeas as of today. Rob, since we are on the topic of Australia, I would like you to put some prices on old and forecast for new.
That's better. Look, I'd agree with Brett on the old crop. Look, the S&D is so tight that I just don't see the downside. Yeah, we're going to stay, call it 650, 660, I see as the bottom of the old crop market. How much higher we go, I think has a lot to do with what the final outcome of the Indian crop is, and whether or not India needs to buy in the second half of the year. If India is there to import chickpeas in July, August, September, yeah, by then I think the cupboard will be, if not completely bare, almost bare. And if that's the case, then the price could well go well over $700 for a short period. As for the new crop situation, I'd have to agree with Brett. I mean, I don't have my crystal ball with me, and I'd defer to our more expert panel of Indian people here because you guys hold the key to the market. Yeah, I think we could have a bigger crop next year, I think the potential there is for us to have a 500,000 or 600,000 tonne crop in Australia next year, given the better prices, given the outlook for increased plantings that I'm seeing, and also given the fact that we're coming off a La Nina, so we've got very good subsoil moisture ready to plant. So all those things put together says we could have a good crop, but let's face it, 500,000 or 600,000 tonnes won't go very far if India has an appetite. So to me, in the new crop, in the old crop, it's so tight that with due respect, India almost doesn't matter, given that we've got strong demand from Pakistan and Bangladesh and everywhere else.
Right.
But in the new crop, India certainly does matter, and what the situation here is will have a large bearing on forward prices. I wouldn't like to project that, but I certainly struggle to see how prices get below, let's say 600 anyway, going forward. I agree with you entirely. I mean, the whole new dimension to the market these days is the currency fluctuations.
Right.
They have such a massive bearing, and if anyone in the room is capable to predict, I've got some money I want to invest with you.
Right. So you say, if I heard you correctly, you said it could be around $600 for new crop.
Look, if the Australian dollar stays as strong as it is at the moment, over parity with the US, then I think on a CNF basis, Australian chickpeas will struggle to get below $600.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Pradeep ji, what do you think where the Indians will buy old crop chickpeas, and what would you pay for new crop chickpeas if you had to commit today? Old crop ka 650, 660 or new crop ka 600 to 650? 600 to 650.
I think as far as old crop is concerned, the prices is, as far as the Indian market is concerned, it is on the higher side. In anticipation of our new crop is on the way, the stockist will be on around 3,000, 3,200 in the beginning, depending on the arrivals and size of the crops. So if you talk the new crop most probably, I believe the price should be open around in between $640 to $660, on an average around $650. Only the things we have to hedge our currencies. We are not sure about the currencies. Tomorrow what will happen about the euro? One time it went up 53.50, now it came down to 49.50. Even though if we take a risk on currency and we presume the dollar we may buy at around 52, I think 650 should be the right price. And it is very easy, and the exchange is very easy. Suppose if Australians, they sales at $650, I have a very golden opportunity to take my arbitrage, my golden opportunity to sell in NCDX.
Thank you. Thank you. Jayesh bhai, if you could just add a few words on how you see India as a market for the future.
See, as far as Africa is concerned, the two factors is main important. The point number one is the quality what we produce is mainly used for the edible purpose, direct consumption, and not for the milling or basin as such. So Africa is concerned, the prices is going to be high. Secondly, there are two suppliers. One is Australia and Africa. I think they got a lot more markets other than India as well. Currently, the Pakistan has become a big buyer. The Dubai has become a quite big buyer. In fact, last year, if you see the export out of Africa was not even 40% to India. The rest went to the Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Middle East. As for where I feel it personally, the Indian market, I think the prices would be decided by the India, the new crop. A new crop would be the main driving factor. If it turns out to be good, the world market may come down. Otherwise, I don't see the market would come down below 600.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we throw the dais open to the audience. Please direct your questions to any of the panelists. Can we have a mic going around, please?
Yeah, Praveen, I have a question. I think Indian production has a significant role in determining the prices because we are the world's largest producer of chickpeas. We produce about 7 to 8 million tons of chickpeas annually. Last year government's figure was 8.2 million tons if I'm not wrong, whereas Mr. Sunil is saying 5.5 million tons. So there is a big difference what the government's figure and what the trade's figure are. And that, that really, I think, there is the speculation. And that is the reason there is a lot of volatility in the prices. Secondly, I also want to know what is the expectation of this year's crop? What is the size of the crop you panelists are expecting? So I think that will determine the price. So can you please let me know on both the scenarios last year as well as this year?
Anybody would like to take the question, Pradeep ji? Last year का production क्या था इंडिया में और सरकार का number और private trade के number में इतना बड़ा फर्क क्यों है कि हम 5.5
Actually, our Indian government, the ministry sides, they never differentiate between the chickpeas. They just say desi chickpeas as well as they added the Kabuli chickpeas. So the figure given by the ministry, Indian ministry side, it includes the partly Kabuli chickpeas. In fact, last year the crop award would be around, as Mr. Sunil Baldev said, it would be around 5.5 to 5.6 million ton. And this year, I believe it will be below than 5 million ton. 1.7 million ton is produced by MP and mostly targeted 1.2 million by Rajasthan. Now this year, I believe it should not be more than 700,000 ton. And if we take another 300,000 ton from Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, around 400,000 ton from Maharashtra, altogether should not be below than 5 million ton if we talk about the desi chickpeas. And certainly the Kabuli chickpeas is more or less 60-70% more compared to last year. It would be more than around 600,000 ton this year.
Thank you, Pradeep. Mrs. Gangamurthy, would you like to comment on this big disparity between the government numbers and private estimates?
Before she takes the question, I think the Kabuli production was hardly just 200,000 to 300,000 tons. If we take that into also account, the difference between the government figure and the trade figure is very wide. And I think that is causing the whole speculation.
No, your question is well noted and your point is well noted, but we ourselves are trying to solve the puzzle. So I have just asked that whether Mrs. Gangamurthy would like to respond to that. Mrs. Gangamurthy is the principal economy advisor.
And Desi together.
Sorry?
We actually add up both Kabuli and Desi Chana and then give the figures. I think that must be causing this disparity.
Possibly. Thank you. Any other questions, please?
Yeah, good evening, sir. I don't know who could probably answer my question, but I feel maybe Mr. Jindal could address this. I am basically an exporter, and I am here in this conference only and only to source chickpea supplier. I have a requirement of about 4,000 to 5,000 metric ton chickpeas every month. But what I have encountered here in India, that my buyers need minimum 9 mm size of chickpeas, whereas in India, the chickpea size is between 4 to 6 or maybe 7 mm. Why we are not able to supply 9 mm? My buyers are dependent on the